Earth versus the flying saucers invented the image in your head when someone says UFO, and gave Hollywood the blueprint for blowing up Washington. But did you know its saucers were designed with help from a real man who swore he'd flown in one? Or that they sound like a sewage plant? Here are the 14 facts they didn't want you to know.
It's time we decided to do something.
14. The saucers were designed with a real UFO contactee, who the FBI was watching. Here's the fact that blurs the line between the movie and the madness that inspired it. To make his flying saucers convincing, Ray Harryhausen didn't just invent a shape. He consulted George Adamski, a real-life contactee, who claimed he had personally met aliens and taken a joyride around the solar system in their craft. Harryhausen sought Adamski out to learn what the saucers should look like, straight from a man who insisted he'd seen them firsthand. The meeting was unnerving. Harryhausen later recalled that Adamski was paranoid and jumpy, had received several visits from the FBI, and made veiled allusions to threats against him. So the most iconic flying saucer in movie history was shaped, in part, by the testimony of a genuine UFO mystic under federal scrutiny. A make-believe invasion film reached into the real UFO subculture for its design, and pulled back something genuinely strange. 13. It was suggested by a real UFO book, by a real government insider. The film's opening credits make a bold claim. The story is suggested by the book Flying Saucers from Outer Space by Major Donald E. Kehoe. And Kehoe was no crank novelist. He was a retired Marine Corps aviator and journalist who became one of the most influential UFO investigators in America. And in 1957 was named director of NICAP, a civilian organization dedicated to studying the phenomenon. His best-selling books argued that sightings were real alien visits and that the U.S. government secretly knew and was covering it up. That single idea, that the authorities know and aren't telling, is arguably Kehoe's most lasting legacy, feeding directly into the conspiracy tradition that would later mythologize Roswell and Area 51. So this silly 1956 monster movie is built on the foundational text of modern UFO paranoia, written by a genuine Pentagon-connected insider. The film borrowed more than a title. It borrowed a belief system. 12. The saucers sound like a sewage treatment plant. One of the film's most unearthly qualities is its sound, and its secret is gloriously mundane. That eerie, humming, otherworldly whir the saucers make? According to Harryhausen's own account, it's modified noise recorded from a sewage treatment plant. The most alien sound of 1956 was, at its source, the churning of human waste, slowed and processed into something from another world. The sound design does heavy lifting throughout. The metallic ping as bombs bounce harmlessly off the saucer's force fields wouldn't feel out of place in Star Wars 2 decades later. And the alien's distorted, echoing voice was performed by Paul Frees, the ubiquitous voice actor who would later become the ghost host of Disney's Haunted Mansion. It's a recurring theme in this series. On a tight budget, ingenuity beats money. Harryhausen conjured an invasion from another galaxy using a stop-motion table, a voice actor, and the acoustics of a sewage works. 11. It was Harryhausen's first time animating something that wasn't alive. Ray Harryhausen built his legend animating creatures. Dinosaurs, monsters, mythological beasts given breath and personality one frame at a time. Earth versus the Flying Saucers marked the first time he animated something that wasn't a living thing, and he treated it as a genuine artistic challenge. In his own words from the DVD commentary, he hesitated at first, then saw the puzzle. How do you give personality to a metal disc? How do you suggest some intelligence guiding them? His solution defined the genre forever. Harryhausen made the saucers move with intention, banking, hovering, striking with something like malice. So they read as characters rather than props. He even gave them rotating outer rims spinning against a stationary core, a detail so convincing it became the default mental image of a UFO. The man famous for breathing life into monsters proved he could breathe menace into machinery. The Saucers Act, that's why they terrify. 10. The alien suits were called solidified electricity. The creatures inside the saucers are as strange as the craft. Harryhausen designed the aliens' costumes as bulky, oversized helmets fused to clunky armor. A look the film describes as solidified electricity, a defensive shell of pure energy hardened around their frail bodies. The design deliberately restricted the performer's movement, giving the aliens a stiff, halting, profoundly unnatural gait that unsettles precisely because it isn't graceful. It was also a budget compromise turned virtue. Harryhausen couldn't afford to make the aliens stop-motion creatures, so they had to be men in suits. And rather than hide that limitation, the solidified electricity concept embraced it, explaining the clunky movement as alien technology. The result influenced decades of screen aliens in restrictive armor. It's the same lesson this channel keeps rediscovering. The constraint becomes the aesthetic. A costume the budget forced into existence became one of the eeriest alien designs of the 1950s. 9. It's the first film where humanity actually fights back. And wins, here's the historical breakthrough hiding in the schlock. Look at the alien invasions that came before it. In the War of the Worlds, the military essentially runs, and the Martians are defeated by germs, not by anything humans do. The Day the Earth Stood Still is about making peace. Earth versus the flying saucers is different. It's arguably the first science fiction film in which humanity confronts a large-scale invasion head-on and defeats it through its own ingenuity, with scientist Russell Marvin inventing an ultrasonic weapon that brings the saucers down. That shift matters enormously. It rewired the entire genre's power fantasy. From cosmic humility to human triumph, from surviving the aliens to beating them, every subsequent film where plucky humans reverse engineer a way to win, right up to a laptop virus felling an armada in Independence Day, descends from this one. Before 1956, aliens were a force of nature. After it, they were an enemy you could beat. Quick radar sweep. If this deep dive is earning it, hit like and subscribe, because we excavate a classic every week. Now, back to Washington and the movie that half of 1996's blockbusters quietly copied. 8. Independence Day is basically a remake. And everyone admits it. The single biggest alien invasion blockbuster of the 1990s owes this film an enormous, openly acknowledged debt. Critics and filmmakers alike describe Roland Emmerich's 1996 Independence Day as essentially a big-budget modernization of Earth versus the flying saucers. Saucers menacing a rocket launch, discs obliterating the monuments of Washington, and humanity ultimately winning through scientific ingenuity. Director Joe Dante put it bluntly, there would be no Independence Day without this picture, calling the 1956 film's destruction sequence virtually a template for everything that came after. For viewers of this channel, the loop is delicious. Our Independence Day episode traced how that film was born at a press conference. Our Stargate episode covered the same director. Here's the deeper root. Emmerich's whole disaster spectacle instinct traces back to a stop-motion table in the 1950s. The saucers toppling the Washington Monument in 1956 are the direct ancestors of the White House exploding in 1996. 40 years apart, same movie, bigger budget. 7. Mars Attacks copied it shot for shot, right down to the gray. The same year Independence Day paid serious homage, Tim Burton paid comedic tribute, and went even further. Mars Attacks isn't just inspired by Earth versus the flying saucers, it lovingly recreates it. The saucer designs, their weapons, their sounds, and many of the monument destruction shots are near identical, deliberately echoing Harryhausen's originals. Even a detail as small as the color is an homage. Ever wonder why the Mars Attacks? Saucers are gray, because Harryhausen's saucers are gray in this black and white film. It's a remarkable dual legacy. In 1996, two major Hollywood films, one an earnest blockbuster, one a star-studded satire, simultaneously mined the same modest 1956 Columbia picture, one playing it straight and one playing it for laughs. Few B-movies can claim to have spawned both a $800 million phenomenon and an all-star comedy in the same year. Harryhausen's saucers were so perfectly designed that 4 decades later, filmmakers didn't want to improve them. They wanted to reproduce them. 6. The footage was so good it got reused in other movies for years. Harryhausen's climactic destruction sequence, the last 12 minutes of the film, monuments crumbling under saucer fire, was so far beyond anything else on screen that it didn't just influence later films. It literally appeared in them. His saucer footage was recycled into other productions for years afterward. A rare compliment where the effects themselves become industry stock, borrowed by filmmakers who couldn't dream of matching them. Part of Harryhausen's genius was integration. He composited his animated saucers into real archival stock footage, actual planes crashing, real locations. So seamlessly that fellow director Joe Dante called the technique brilliant. The saucers felt like they were invading the real world because, photographically, they partly were. This blend of the animated and the actual gave the film a documentary weight its cardboard-thin script never earned on its own. The story was disposable. The images were immortal. So immortal that other movies simply helped themselves. 5. It was a quick, cheap follow-up to a giant octopus Earth versus the flying saucers exists because a rubber octopus made money. The year before, in 1955, Harryhausen and producer Charles Schneer had a surprise hit with It Came From Beneath the Sea, a giant octopus film made for about $150,000 that grossed over $1.7 million. Columbia wanted more immediately. Executive producer Sam Katzman, a legendary low-budget mogul known for fast, cheap, profitable pictures, seized on Kehoe's UFO book as the basis for the next Harryhausen spectacle. So one of the most influential science fiction films ever made was, in its origins, a rushed cash-in on a monster movie hit, produced on a shoestring by men who made their living on speed and thrift. The budget shows in the flat dialogue and stiff romance. But the effects budget, Harryhausen's hands and patience, bought something priceless. It's a familiar pattern in this series, the disposable programmer made for a quick profit that accidentally rewrites the rulebook. 4. The voice of the aliens haunts Disneyland to this day, the chilling, distorted voice of the alien intelligence, the eerie herald announcing humanity's doom, belongs to one of the most heard voices of the 20th century, even if you've never known his name. Paul Frees was among Hollywood's most prolific voice actors, and if his tones sound uncannily familiar beneath the film's electronic distortion, there's a reason. Frees became the ghost host of Disneyland's Haunted Mansion, the velvet voice welcoming millions of visitors to a swinging wake for decades. He was everywhere. Boris Badenov in Rocky and Bullwinkle, countless narrations, The Pillsbury Doughboy, and beyond. So the same instrument that threatened Earth with annihilation in 1956 later became a beloved fixture of a theme park ride enjoyed by families every single day. There's a strange warmth in that. The voice of the apocalypse grew up to host a haunted house. Listen closely to the saucer's ultimatum, and you're hearing the future ghost of the happiest place on Earth. 3. It helped make 1956 a landmark year for science fiction. Earth versus the flying saucers didn't arrive alone. It was part of a single extraordinary year. 1956 also gave the world Forbidden Planet, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and the Japanese classic Rodan, making it one of the most important 12-month stretches in the history of the genre. Each film pushed a different frontier. Forbidden Planet, the lavish A-picture, Body Snatchers, the paranoid allegory, Rodan, the kaiju spectacle, and Earth versus the flying saucers, the invasion template. Together, they mark the moment science fiction cinema matured from novelty into a genuine, self-aware genre with its own visual language and thematic depth. Earth versus the Flying Saucers holds a specific and permanent place in that class. It's the one that fixed the image of the flying saucer and the ritual of the alien assault on civilization. When people picture 1950s sci-fi, they're often picturing this exact aesthetic. And 1956 is the year it all crystallized at once. 2. The saucers became the most iconic UFO in film history. Ask anyone to picture a flying saucer and the image that appears. The rotating disc with a domed center is very often Harryhausen's, whether they know it or not. Earth versus the Flying Saucers is frequently the first title that comes to mind in any conversation about UFO movies. And its craft have become perhaps the single most iconic rendering of alien spacecraft ever put on film. That's an astonishing legacy for a low-budget picture. It didn't just depict a UFO, it standardized what a UFO looks like in the collective imagination. The influence radiated everywhere, from Captain Scarlet to countless imitators, cementing the spinning saucer as visual shorthand for Alien in a way no film before had achieved. Harryhausen designed one object so definitively that it stopped being a design and became the default. When a child draws a UFO today, they are, in a sense, still drawing Harryhausen's 1956 saucer. 1. The B-movie that wrote the rulebook for the modern blockbuster Step Back and Earth versus the Flying Saucers reveals itself as one of the most quietly influential films ever made. It was cheap. Its script was cliched, its acting stiff, and none of it mattered because it established a template Hollywood is still following 70 years later. Alien saucers, imperiled monuments, a scientist's last-minute weapon, and humanity's hard-won triumph. Independence Day modernized it, Mars Attacks parodied it, and 100 lesser films borrowed from it, many literally reusing its footage. Its real achievement is the standardization of a fantasy. Before this film, alien invasion had no fixed visual grammar. After it, the spinning saucer and the toppling landmark became the universal language of the genre. Ray Harryhausen, working alone at an animation table, consulting a real UFO. Mystic, recording a sewage plant, built the aesthetic foundation of every alien blockbuster to come. The monuments fell in 1956. Hollywood has been rebuilding and toppling them ever since. Those were 14 facts most fans have never heard about Earth versus the Flying Saucers. Which one got you? The real UFO contactee who shaped the design or the sewage plant sound effect? Beam it into the comments. If this earned it, hit like, subscribe, and send it to the friend who still points at every weather balloon. Until next time, keep watching the skies.